The- Hello, it's Thursday, live on a Thursday. Rewatchers Council. Thanks everybody for watching or eventually watching. I'm Snark, and that's my buddy Adelia. Adelia, how are you?
I'm doing good, Snark. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. So, season two, wrapping up here. We got this. We got part one. We got part two next week. Becoming. You were saying before that you liked the episode. You think it's a good episode. It's a good episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course.
It's definitely
All
a bunch of setup, but it's
it
good.
is. It is set up, and there's some weird flashbacks and stuff like that too. So we're gonna talk all about it. We'll get into the regular spiel here first, though, Adelia. For goodness sakes,
Okay.
its original air date, May 12th, 1998. Once again, it's written and directed by the showrunner, and yeah, I think usually that his when he writes and directs or whatever, I think it's usually pretty high up on the scale. This one,
hmm
I would put a little lower down on his scale or whatever, but still good episodes. The number one movie this week, Deep Impact. I believe it's Deep Impact again.
Okay.
The number one song, and what a hit this was! And I'm surprised it was number one yet again. Deep, or sorry, no, Too Close by Next. Too
This was
Close.
a huge song. So,
I don't. I guess I wasn't really listening to the radio much in 1998. I suppose. I liked the song. I'd hear it at the bars, but I never knew it was this big a hit. Another big hit, and this band's. I've only ever heard the one song, but over in the UK, they have yet another one number one hit here. All Saints had a number one song with a mashup of Under the Bridge and Lady Marmalade.
sure.
Two songs that you immediately think should go together.
Absolutely.
100%. The number one song in Canada, Torn by Natalie and Brulia. Not a surprise. It was a number
No.
one up here for a whole while. All right. DVD synopsis time. Kendra returns to help Buffy when Angel plots to revive an ancient demon bent on sweeping everything on Earth into hell itself. And surprise, Apocalypse was coming.
I mean, isn't that the MO of every season finale we've had so far?
Yes, yeah. I was I was thinking about putting on the little thing underneath here, like Apocalypse Now. Yeah, it happens quite a bit, more than you would expect. So the episode starts off with a flashback here, Adelia.
hmm
Galway, Ireland in 1753. And if you thought that Irish accent was bad, just wait. I'm just kidding. I think Boreanaz does a better job of an Irish accent than I did there. So if you want to know where Galway is, so Ireland, of course, an island. So you have Dublin on this coast. They have Dublin on the east coast. Galway is essentially straight across the country on the west coast. Okay,
Okay.
so it's a real place. They didn't just make it up.
No,
Now,
I know that's a real place. I've heard of Galway, Ireland before.
I hadn't. I had to look it up. It's like, did I make that place up?
There is an Ed Sheeran song called Galway Girl with Saoirse Ronan in the music video.
Oh, brother. Oh my gosh.
So I've heard of it.
All right, that's cool. There's a little narration going on. We're not introduced to the narrator yet, so I'm not going to mention it quite yet. It's talking about how big or small moments shape your life. Well, no kidding. Like, was this needed at all?
That's a fairly point blank kind
Yeah,
of
it's like,
statement there.
oh, you need oxygen to live, Adelia.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, same kind
Big
of
if true.
thing. So, well, not if you're a vampire, I guess. There you go.
Uh, they're
Speaking of
not
vampires,
alive though, so
nope. You know what? You got me there. That's why you're the smart one. So, there's a couple of drunks. Speaking of, get kicked out of a tavern. One being our old pal Angel, or I guess Liam, as he was known. His buddy just passes out in the street in Ireland. You could say something about her. It's like just surprised there wasn't more there. So then he sees, a pretty blonde lady standing in the middle of an open intersection. Adelia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just I'm going to stand in the middle of this somehow lighted intersection.
Mhm.
Then we say, "Uh-oh, Adelia, it's Darla."
It
So
is.
following her, it gets very reminiscent here of that first scene in Buffy, where Darla seems like she's the demure one, and then there's
Mhm.
the man that's going to come and protect her and stuff like that. But Angel is a bit of a lout here. He's a little more than willing to have a drink. Then she offers to show him the world like immediately. So
Mhm.
I could just show you the world, and you can see things you've never seen or heard of, things exciting and terrifying. I would say the terrifying bit wouldn't be a big sell to me at
No,
all.
I wouldn't think so. No.
Yeah, but I guess it is Angel. He says he's not afraid. She tells him to close his eyes. Something that may come up later in the next episode, probably. And then she bites him, then has him drink from her. And then we go back to 1998. There's going to be a few jumping back and forth here.
There's some
Now,
jarring jumping back and forth in this episode.
yeah. Now he's just watching Buffy fight a couple of vamps in the graveyard. She takes one of them, tells the other one to tell Angel that she's done waiting and is coming for him, and then just stakes him.
Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I don't,
Deliver this message for me. Let me kill you now.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work.
No.
You know what I mean? So she then grabs. There was a Xander previously unseen by now. We can presume he was unconscious. Won't be the
Yeah.
only time in this episode. Now,
Nope.
he says she's been on a roll, killing vampires. Again, she reiterates that she wants this thing with Angel over with. And then remember, oh yeah, we got finals to go study for, so they go home. She says it'll all be over soon. And then a tremendously cheesy line from Angel here when he says, "Yes, my love, it will." Almost cringe worthy. It was so cheesy.
Yeah. It was not
Gross.
good.
Awful. Okay. Giles then. We see Giles. He shows up at a museum. He was referred to this place through the Washington Institute.
Okay.
You know what the Washington Institute is?
No.
It's not anything. Because he seems to be the best authority on obscure relics. All right.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Nope. He was the director of the British Museum. We found that out in the very first episode. Anyways, he was talking to a guy named Doug Perrin, played by Jack McGee. And is there a more fake sounding name that you've ever heard of in your life? Jack McGee. Anyways, he's been in, again, a ton of stuff. NCIS, Castle, Bones.
All of Ferris's favorite shows.
Ferris's favorite. Basic Instinct. I'm sure that's one of yours.
No.
No. All right. He and his team are excavating something. I'm saying excavating. I guess it's already out of the ground, but they're doing all the archaeological cleaning it up or whatever. It was found, of course, just outside of town. A great big monolith thing. It's covered in some kind of hieroglyphics, I'm imagining, some sort of language. Just starts collecting some scrapings from it. Then notices, oh, this thing can open. It looks like Perrin there wants to do just that. But Giles asks him to wait so he can decipher what's on it first and see what's in it. But they're both, kind of curious as to what's in there. I think we all are. So
We knew it wouldn't be good though.
maybe it was like a birthday present or something like that. You never know.
It's never good.
In the Hellmouth or whatever, just outside the Hellmouth, something weird like that.
Never good. Never
You
good.
know what would have been a switch if it was something nice. Of course, yeah, of course you're right. This time it isn't. All right, so we go to the cafeteria at the school. Xander's playing a little fish stick.
Hello, Brennan.
Oh, hello, Brennan. I have a feeling we're going to see you next week. So they're playing fish stick, the vampire slayer here in the cafeteria. He's kind of describing last night's events. I really liked fish stick, the vampire slayer. I thought it was fun. He's talking,
fun, yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about that to the Scoobies. We get to see Oz, which is fun.
Back. I was very happy.
Yeah, so somehow somebody remembered that Oz was in this show as well. So that's nice. Buffy thinks that Angel is becoming chicken of her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Really, again, it's like she has to convince herself because she keeps saying that she's ready, willing, and able to end him and all this bananas. Willow and her make a plan then to study some chemistry after her class in sixth period. Like, Willow, I guess. Did they have finals for a computer class? Probably just a project, right?
I mean, I took a computer class in high school and I did have a final.
Ugh. I would have hated it. So Cordy thinks it's great that she enjoys teaching and tutoring before she goes to fail in the real world. Just so she has something to fall back on.
I loved Xander's line here about how that was about 60% a compliment, and he thought that was a record for her.
Yeah. He asks what Xander will do when he fails in life, and he says he's going to teach the language of love. Starts tickling her. Of course, Snyder's walking up just then. We get to see Snyder again. He starts giving Willow crap for sitting on Oz's lap. He's not. It seems like he's not down with any kind of PDA here, Adelia. Yeah, he says this isn't an orgy, people, which is it's a classroom. And once again, threatens to expel Buffy. He only has like 3 things he ever says, it seems, in this season. And then she mentions that this is the classroom where they teach lunch. So, a little mouth on her, which is nice. And then he leaves. Cordy calls him a tiny, impudent Nazi with a bug up his ass, the size of an emu.
I love that line.
Buffy is yet again patrolling for Angel that night. She says, okay, we're going to go flashback again. All right, this time, 1860 London. You get to see a mortal Drusilla here. She wants her confession heard, but little did she know, Angel had just, emptied that, Reverend? Is it a priest? I don't know. Is that the same?
I don't know. It depends on the religion, I think, what that person would be called.
Yeah, anyways, that guy has no more blood left. Also, it's kind of daytime there.
Yeah.
That's something that comes up a couple of times in this episode. They play a little fast and loose with the sunshine in this one. Anyways, she starts telling that she's having visions. I think this one is about miners and stuff like that. And then it ends up coming true. There was a mining collapse and a couple people died. And she says that her mother thinks that their visions are an affront to God. And then she tells him that she doesn't want to be an evil thing. And then he tells her that the Lord has a plan for everyone, even a devil child like her. So I guess this is supposed to be where he drives her mad. Well, he starts to drive her mad or whatever.
Drive her mad.
And that she's a spawn of Satan. And no number of Hail Marys will help her. And that the only thing she can do is give in and be evil.
Sure.
Sure, all right. But she wants to be good and pure. He then tells her to do 10 Our Fathers and do an act of attrition, and that God is watching her. Which is, I think priests and stuff like that back then had it pretty good. It's like they could just say whatever they wanted. It's like,
yeah.
Go back a couple 100 years earlier, and they could sell take us to heaven, if I remember right. Anyways, present day. We're at the Crawford Street mansion. She starts telling Spike that the moon's been whispering dreadful things to her again. Oh boy. Angel, of course, shows up just like just when she does this. Ask what the voices say, and as he's doing that, of course, slaps Spike in the back of the head. Something I laugh at
Made
every
me
time I see it.
laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She tells him something terrible is coming. That there's a tomb at the museum with a surprise inside. Spike tells him that it was in the damn newspaper that morning. It was in a huge vision thing. Somehow this thing is in. I don't know how many people, how many reporters are just milling about the museum or whatever. But there you go. Angel tells her that soon the voices will stop whispering and start screaming. So
I mean, that does not sound like fun.
it's probably not good. If it's some other place, maybe it's fine, but not Sunnydale. Okay, so Buffy's having some chemistry troubles. She's getting a little down on herself. Willow tries to give her some confidence, but says if she's going to give up, don't waste her time. She gets very teachery here.
Very teachery, yeah.
Yeah. Buffy gets a little inspired by this, but drops her pencil. The pencil rolls off the desk, just beside it. She goes down there, grabs it. She nudges a familiar-looking floppy disk.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I thought the floppy disk was on the other side of the desk, if I
agree.
remember.
Agree.
Let's not have continuity, get in the way of a good story here, okay? Anyways, she starts feeling a deja vu, so just drops the pencil again. This time, she goes down and grabs said floppy disk. Willow puts
Why
it in
is
the.
she feeling deja vu about where that floppy disk is?
I think she obviously it couldn't be deja vu. She hadn't seen it before. Anyways,
Yeah.
Willow puts it in a laptop. So her computer in the computer class, just some laptop. And I remember those laptops, those
I do
huge
too.
textbook, incredible laptops. So in no time, she basically turns the thing on, pops this thing. In no time,
no way this could have processed this that fast.
Contents are on the screen. It's highlighted by the word restoration.
Yeah.
Adelia. And all Willow can say is, "Oh boy." So now we're gonna go flashback in yet again. So hold on to your hats.
This particular transition was very jarring.
Yes. Going back to 1898, and literally all it says is the Romanian woods.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't say like outside some town or just the Romanian woods. Like it only has one woods. So it looks like it looks like the favorite daughter of the Calderash people is being prepared for burial, Adelia.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see someone running through the woods there. Obviously, we know it's going to be Angel. He runs, eventually stopping, and I guess it's supposed to be like a caravan. I'm imagining some kind of
that, yeah.
A gypsy settlement. So the old lady finally finishes that incantation of the orb of Thessaly there, starts glowing. Then Angel's eyes start glowing, and the man tells him things will hurt more and more. Angel isn't sure where he is. He's told that soon the memory of every life he's ever taken will come back to haunt him, and then he will know true suffering. Now, everybody in this tribe knows this curse. And then it eventually starts to hit him and stuff like that. So we cut to the library. Big Scooby fight here.
Yeah.
It isn't often that they're at each other's kind of throats, I guess. I don't know if this is at each other's throats, but this is definitely a disagreement between everybody. Buffy and Willow are showing Giles that Jenny had replicated the curse. Xander rightfully mentions that's why he killed her. Cordy thinks it's a good thing, restoring his soul. Giles doesn't believe he has enough knowledge of the black arts to do it. Giles used to get high by getting a demon back to life. if I remember
Yeah.
that right. You would imagine he would have enough black arts and knowledge to do this, but whatever.
Yeah.
Willow mentions that she's been going through Jenny's files and then in her, just for fun, looking up dark art stuff on the web. So she may be able to work it. Like, never mind that Giles has had all this experience. She's been
Giles'
looking.
experience means nothing here. Willow read the internet.
Yeah. Anyways, Giles lets her know that it may open a door she could never close.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so maybe put a pin in that. All right, Buffy doesn't want her to endanger herself, of course. Willow says she's the best person to do this. Somehow, Xander thinks that they're all nuts. He asks, who cares about restoring Angel's humanity? Buffy says that she does, then reminds them, or, Xander then reminds them that he's a killer. When Buffy says it's not that simple, Xander starts getting pissed here. He asks if he just gets forgiven and that he needs to die. Then when Giles says curing Angel was Jenny's last wish, which we don't know if it was. It probably was not to die, if you ask me. Xander reminds him she's dead. This gets Giles pissed. Like, Giles is going to beat the hell out of a kid. But, he stops it. Buffy stops it. Will asks what she wants. She says that she wants what happened to Angel wasn't his fault, and that Xander interrupts by saying what happened to Miss Calendar is, and that she wants to forget about that so she can have her boyfriend back.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And that was a gut punch.
I mean, it was right, but it was
Xander went for the win there. Xander went for the win. Buffy just walks out, and then you can see Willow is I will say unhappy with Xander Harris at this moment.
I did like in this how Cordelia agrees with Xander, and Xander starts going, "Why don't you ever agree with me? Wait a minute, I just realized you agreed with me."
Yeah, it's just a reflex for him or whatever. So we go back to the museum, and Perrin hears the tomb whispering. Oh boy, it's the last thing he hears, of course. He now is Drew's lunch.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Doug Perrin. Angel has come, as he brought some lackeys with him, and they tell him to prepare to take it while telling Drew to save him some. So they're having lunch out together. That's nice. You know what I mean? So Buffy's getting ready to patrol. Now, she's on the phone with Willow. She's packing her bags full of a lot of stakes, a lot of crucifixes, it seems. Then Willow must have called Xander something incredibly rude because it kind of shocks Buffy here. And she asks if she kisses her mother with that mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to know what she said.
I would like to know what Willow said too.
Probably called him a doo-doo head. You know what I mean? All right. So she grabs a couple more steaks because, she needs them. Then notice the cladic ring that Angel gave her for her birthday, which is convenient. She just had it in the drawer. And then she hangs up with Willow. Now it's off to go to the cemetery, where our old pal Kendra surprises her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buffy guesses correctly that her watcher told her a very dark power is about to rise in Sunnydale and asks if she knows what it is. How does Giles never know any of this stuff?
Exactly.
Giles is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Anyways, and we go back to Angel's place. Spike's a little unimpressed that with this big rock. It's just sitting in the living room. I don't know what that is, the living room, or if it's like the front foyer or receiving room, maybe.
I don't know.
It's a big place he has there.
It is.
Anyways, Angel tells him the story of Acathla the demon and how it came forth to swallow the world, but it was killed by a virtuous knight. Stabbed it in the heart before he could, and he turns to stone. Now, I'm just going to mention that it was a pretty lucky shot by that virtuous knight because it was on the wrong side of his body.
Yes,
Unless he knew Acathla's heart was on the right side of his body somehow.
I mean, he's a demon. Maybe his heart is on the other side of his body.
I think we've said this before in the first season when they first started this, and somebody got staked in in the right side of their body. Maybe their hearts are just too big. It's like a big, like a loaf of bread or something like that. Just encompasses their entire chest. They don't need lungs. They just need some kind of heart. Anyways, luckily, this thing was buried just outside of Sunnydale. The tomb's opened, and we didn't see the sword kind of sticking out. Now, if someone worthy pulls it out, every living creature will eventually go to hell here. Angel says they're about to make history. ... End. More cheese.
Very cheesy. Very cheesy.
We're getting some cheese here. So we get to the library. And Giles lets Kendra, Buffy, and Willow know what happened at the museum. Buffy calls it the Tomb of Alfalfa, which is
Which
very
is funny.
I
Yeah.
appreciated it. It turns out Kendra's watcher knew everything about Acathla. Again, Giles is dropping the ball here. So he does describe the whole "it will suck everything into hell" part, though. Buffy wants Willow now to do the curse or whatever. It's time for Angel to get his soul back, it seems. But Kendra's on Xander's side here, even though Xander isn't even there. Buffy wants Willow to do it as a plan B, just in case she fails. She's going to go and try and end this thing up. Kendra has somehow come with another sword. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'd like to know how she got that on the airplane. Or did
This
she
one,
stow away again?
yeah, she must have stowed away. This one just so happens to be blessed by that exact same knight who put the sword in the wrong side of Acathla's chest.
It
But
just so
still,
happens. How
yeah.
convenient.
So that's plan B's plan B, is to put the other sword into Acathla. I guess it's plan C. I guess it would be. So Willow thinks that they'll need another day and an orb of Thessula, which, of course, Giles just so happens to have as a
Giles just
paperweight.
has one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that sold Jenny that orb of Thessula said that he was giving them to tourists, selling them to tourists as paperweights. There you go. Nice little callback there. Giles has one as a paperweight. So
I
Buffy's
guess, but how does Giles know what it even is?
Giles is all the books. I would imagine he would know a couple of things, but to know exactly that it traps souls and gives them back, I guess I don't know. And so
Yeah.
Buffy does see the bright side of hell, though, as he should. You know what? You should see the bright side of hell sometimes, Adelia. This time it's not having to take her finals if everything gets sucked into hell. But she then realizes that maybe hell is eternally having to take her finals. It would be hell for me as well. Giles lets him know that Angel still has to do an incantation himself, and it should take some time. So Spike's been pacing around in his room. We saw in that last episode with Spike that he's kind of ambulatory now. He's just kind of faking it for everybody for some reason. But he, of course, jumps back in the chair as soon as Drew arrives. She tells him that all the fun's about to start here, Adelia. And we go back to, I'm going to say it's the receiving hall now, because I kind of like that word. I'm not sure if it's a real thing. So a sacrifice has been brought this time. Angel then speaks about how drinking blood will cleanse him and make him worthy of freeing Acathla. Then gets the old vamp face on, says that bear witness as I ascend. Ascend is going to be a whole nother thing next season. I can tell you that. So
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. So it says as I come, and bites that poor guy for like 1 second. And then he starts approaching the door. That's all it takes, I guess. Vampires only need to.
They must be able to drain someone real quick.
To get poison fangs, maybe? It's like, I don't know. Whatever. So we get yet another flashback. This time, Adelia, all the way back, actually just 2 years prior. So it's 1996. Angel is a vagrant. You may call him like a dirty bum, possibly. I don't know if that's the politically correct term to call him. So he's living off rats in the streets of New York. He gets approached by a man. And what I have to say is maybe my least favorite fashion accessory of all time. When people wear those bowler hats or po' boy hats and stuff like that, I honestly can't stand it. Anyways, he starts giving him crap for smelling bad and being a crazy homeless guy, so I get it. Like that part I get.
Yeah.
But this guy actually does know that Angel's a vampire, and he
Mhm.
knows Angel won't bite, and knowing he has a soul somehow. So he gives Angels some tips, like go to a butcher's place. They're always giving out, throwing away good blood every day. I don't know, like how is that a question you just ask somebody? So, like,
Yeah.
may I please have your pork and beef blood? Something I've never asked anyone, no matter what people say.
Me either. No.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank goodness. So, Angel then asks to know who the man is, and then reverses the question. He tells them that his name is Whistler.
Whistler.
Okay, Whistler. Whistler is a name that's not just associated with this vampire. If you remember back to your Marvel comics, Blade's little handler there is also named Whistler. I would think just of any of the names they could have given this guy or whatever, maybe not Whistler. Anyways,
Yeah.
so this guy's played by Max Perlich, and this guy gets a lot of work. I'm sure you've seen him in stuff. If you haven't really paid attention to who he is, he was in 115 different things. He was in Ferris Bueller, for example. I know one of your favorite movies was Gleaming in the Cube.
I
He
have
was in
never
that one.
heard of that.
Oh, sure. Okay. He was in the Bust a Move video, Adelia.
Okay.
Better if you've never seen the Bust a Move video. I don't know how you've
I've
carried on.
I've seen it. I don't remember it, but I've seen it.
You want it, you got it. That's all I have to say.
Mhm.
He's also in Justified. Like, he's still working. So he lets Angel know he's a demon, but not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And that Angel can choose to be a person. You know what I mean? Someone who's counted.
Mhm.
I never really got that phrase, though. Someone who's counted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't get that phrase either.
I've heard this isn't the only place I've ever heard it either. Anyways, his plan of just being left alone has made him become the stink guy, which is kind of
Mhm.
fun. And he wants Angel to come with him to see something. You know what I mean? And then he says, Angel asks him, "Where is it?" And it is, Adelia, in Los Angeles, California.
It is.
Okay, and that it is either a 14 or a 15-year-old child.
Yeah, I hated this part, not gonna lie.
It's not great. Angel rolls up to Hemery High School and just some old beater. Its windows are just spray painted black.
Yeah. It's daylight. He rolls down the window. What the
Yeah.
hell is that?
Yes. Again, they play fast and loose with the sunshine in this one. It's gonna
Mhm.
get even maybe a little more pointed, maybe at the end. Anyways, Angel sees a very Cordy-esque Buffy before Sunnydale and stuff like that, before she knows who she
Mhm.
is. Yeah, he rolls down the window here and everything's fine. Buffy's friends all leave. And then we get to see an older man with a mustache roll up and tells her that she must come with him to fulfill her destiny. And then when
Yeah.
she replies that she's destiny free, he tells her she alone can stop them, Adelia. I don't know if you've ever heard that line before on this. So then,
I have, yes.
okay, good, very good. Then she says, "Who?" And he answers, "The vampires." And then we figured out, of course, that this guy is TV's version of Merrick. I'll say a very un-Donald Sutherland version of Merrick. I would say someone that probably the showrunner actually liked, because famously he did not like Donald Sutherland, I think, at
Okay.
all. Um, so this guy's played by Richard Reel, and you may have seen this guy too, because he's been in, just as IMDb credits, 436 different
Jesus, that's
things.
a lot.
Yeah, he's been in a few things. He's been in in the last 2 years, like he's still going. The last 2 years, he's been in 13 different things. Like, this guy gets a lot of work.
Wow.
He was
Yeah.
in Office Space. He was in Barry, um, NCIS, just for fairs. He was in The League, one of my favorite shows. So we
Hmm.
cut to them doing some training. Angel always just watching like a creep. Then she's being attacked. She fights it off, stabs the poor vampire in the stomach. This scene is going to be referred to again in a couple of seasons. Eventually gets the heart of it. Gets a little shocked when this vampire starts just puffs into dust. And Merrick asks if she sees her power now. Then Angel, we cut to her getting home. Angel watching from outside. She gets back a little late. Joyce is there. Starts giving her shit. She says she was out to meet this boy. And then she says, well, you can't be this late. Dinner's ready in 10 minutes. How late could it have been if dinner was still going to be ready in 10 minutes? And then we get to hear her dad. We don't see her dad, but we get to hear her dad. And her dad yelling that, why does he always have to be the disciplinarian? So I think Joyce is a fast learner. Because through these first 2 seasons, all she's ever done is give Buffy shit. Anyways, Angel's always also watches as Buffy goes into her washroom, to kind of recover and stuff like that here. So yeah, Angel has just been. This is not a good Angel episode.
Like if so creepy.
Yeah, are we supposed to say, oh look, he's always been in love with her? No, he's always just been a creep. Yeah, it's just a new level of ick. So we go back down to the sewers. Angel tells Whistler he wants to help her. And then Whistler says that she must be prettier than the last one. Again, I don't know if we even have to keep saying
it's so gross.
Yeah. Angel has to learn from him. Whistler agrees. Then Angel bashes the way he dresses. And I think that's fair. That stupid hat.
I agree.
And a Hawaiian shirt. The 90s. You know what I mean?
Yep.
1996. What are you going to do? So we get back to the Acathla ritual. Angel has now grabbed the sword. There's a bunch of paranormal, lights happening. But he gets rejected. Spikes puts a little dig in here. Drew's a little unhappy with this. Angel gets pretty angry. Tell them that he's going to go get help from an old friend so they can have his Armageddon. He has a lot of old friends. We'll see which one it means.
He does.
Yeah. At school, Buffy, Willow, and Xander are writing finals. And this is where we get a little fast and loose with the sunshine because there's a hooded figure just kind of wandering the halls.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know if it's a shawl or something that's over them. Anyways, it comes into their class and then tells Buffy to go to the graveyard at midnight to meet him or more will die. Then just pulls the cloak off and immediately is set on fire.
Sure. Like whatever. Like
Angel had that window down for a while. He had it down for a while. Never mind when he was in that church, which he shouldn't have been. Like as a vampire, couldn't have been in. Anyways, whatever. Also, a couple of things. One, I bet you some of the people most thankful for texting are vampires. Because instead of being like vampire sacrifices just for simple messages, you can just text them, which is good. Second of all, what excuse do they use for this in that classroom?
I was really wondering about that. Like, what is the excuse?
There's the two standbys. Meth, gang-related meth, or the sewer backup.
This is neither.
I would say so. At the one that's closest, I would say. Probably gang-related meth. Anyways, we go back to the library. Buffy's telling Giles what happened, and that, she's going to go meet him. Kendra's told to stay there just in case, Then asks Will if she's ready. She says she's going to need a half an hour after everything's set up. Giles says to just hold him off. She'll know when the spell succeeds, obviously. And Cordy has a little good point here. She says, why doesn't she just stay there? And if it works, he'll call her. You know what I mean? And then she says, well, she doesn't want the rest to human life. In the meantime, just far too great. And so she heads off. Before she goes, Kendra stops her Uh, and then we get the debut, one of my favorite non-living characters, Adelia, Mr. Pointy.
I remembered Mr. Pointy. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Pointy was her lucky stake. Now it's Buffy's as a plan B to her plan B. I guess it's plan C. Plan C's plan B. There you go. Also, I'm going to say this. Kendra's accent in this one sounds more natural.
Yes.
She had more time to work on it than the night before. If you remember from the first one. So she goes to the cemetery. Angel meets her up with her, tells her he didn't come there to fight, and then asks if they can get back together.
Sure.
Sweet, sweet moment. No, and then decides to fight. So Willow and Giles have begun this ritual, Adelia. It's not going to too long before they're attacked by vampires, though. Xander gets his arm broken here, and it's gnarly looking.
It's brutal.
Yeah, there's some things a person's head can get lopped off or something like that, and you kind of chuckle along. A man gets his arm broken. Not great. Willow gets behind a book stack, but it's pushed down on her, knocking her unconscious. And then Giles gets punched out of Delia. He's out cold. So you know what that means. We're putting it on the goddamn board. It's going on the board. Time Giles gets knocked out. We're up to 7 times now. We could have had one for Xander, too. Xander's been knocked out twice in this episode. Anyways. Because he manages to save Cordy, even though he's only has one arm. He throws one vamp into another one. Kendra stakes one, then throws another one through a window. But then she gets tackled. We go back to the graveyard. We see that Angel thinks that Buffy isn't putting her entire heart into this fight. And then she whips out Mr. Pointy. Then she gets told that this fight was never about her and never was. And then she realizes, Angel played the reverse Uno card on her, Adelia. She starts running back. And even though you can get everywhere in Sunnydale within, 15 seconds or whatever, it seems to take her quite a bit of time. Kendra gets in a little tough. You know what I mean? This is when Xander gets knocked out here. Then we get to see just someone's dressy red shoes into the library here now, Adelia.
Yep.
And the lackey Vance now have Kendra surrounded. All that lucky shoes are being worn by Drusilla. And then she kind of squares up with herself. Now, I say I love Juliet Landau as Drusilla. She is not a good stunt fighter.
No.
Why couldn't they have just shown her from the back or whatever? Not very convincing. Well, let's not be like this. Anyways, we see Buffy still rushing back, but Drew has grabbed Kendra. Where do you think, if a vampire is going to grab someone, where are they going to grab her on the show?
Around the neck.
Around the throat. You guessed it. Then she starts hypnotizing her, telling her to be in her eyes. In her, Adelia. Now Buffy's still running, and now Drew is swaying back and forth. Kendra's mimicking around with her, and then just with a swipe of her hand, Drew slits Kendra's throat with her fingernail, which is, unsanitary. Then just says night, night, night. And then orders the lackeys to get what they came for. That thing they came for, Giles. Now, again, this is another case of just cutting the Slayer, and then leaving her. Doesn't drink from her or anything like that, which is odd. I always thought that was odd. Why would you just do that? Anyways, Buffy eventually gets to school, and everything's in slow motion. We get some narration again from Whistler. It was Whistler who was narrating before, saying, "You're never ready for the big moments." All right. So again, you never needed any of this narration. Buffy gets to the library, finds Kendra. Whistler starts speaking again, saying it's what you do afterwards that counts. So you're never ready for the big moments, Adelia. It's what you do afterwards that counts.
I mean, no
That's
shit.
that's when you find out what you are. And then we see a cop pull their gun on Buffy and tells her to freeze. And that's it for part
Yep.
one. Now, next time, becoming part two. So, season finale, you know, we get some truths come to light in
Mm-hmm.
the second part here. Is it going to be doomsday for all our heroes? I'll tell you this. Usually, if a Sarah McLachlan song plays at the end of something, it's usually it's not very happy. But
Yeah,
we still have 5 more seasons to go in this, so I think maybe
we
they'll be
do.
okay.
We
We'll
do.
find out though.
Yeah.
Yes, like we said, Councilman Brennan Marr will be joining us. I'm excited about that for becoming part two next week. Now, Adelia, where will people find you on the Let's Get Ready network?
You can find me over on the Highlights channel doing Starting 11 with Snark Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are live recapping the week that was in the English Premier League. Thank you, Snark, for going solo this week because I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
feeling very well. So I will be back next week to discuss what goes on this weekend. I'm not happy I have to be awake at 6:30 in the morning to watch Arsenal, but it's going to happen from time to time, I suppose.
we can
You
record
can
it.
also find I said no. You can also find us back here uh, Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, for the season finale of season 2 of Buffy here on Rewatchers Council. And eventually, Ferris and I will get back to doing the open table Fridays, 8 p.m. Pacific on this channel. There's links to both the channels in the description of this episode. Please subscribe.
Yeah,
And if you want to talk to us about any of this stuff ever, you could join our Discord for $1 a month on our Patreon. There's higher tiers that get you more things. Might be some changes to that coming soon. And if you'd like to support us, that we'd really appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitch, you can subscribe on Twitch. That's really helpful to what we're trying to do here.
sure.
Snark, where can people find you?
Well, you mentioned this show. You mentioned Starting 11, both great shows. LGRN After Strike. I don't think we're doing an episode this weekend, but we'll be
I
doing
haven't
one.
heard anything about an episode this
Yeah,
weekend.
Denny has a project he's been working on or something like that. So that's cool. We will get back to that very soon. Lots of things to talk about with him. That's usually weekends, probably Saturdays. It's around 4 o'clock Central Time. Central Time being the right time. To
Yes.
tell you the truth, the other ones are just kind of made up.
Mhm.
Other than that, I think that'll do us for this week. Maybe mention that our fantasy football league is starting up
Yes.
over on the highlights as well. We'll be doing that live. Was that live on YouTube and Twitch?
It it is live on YouTube and Twitch tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific. Our fantasy football league. Ferris will be hosting, and some of the participants in our league will be coming on to make their selections live, almost as if it's an actual draft. But
Yes. And I have to remember that they play 4 downs in America, not
we do,
3.
yes. No,
Ridiculous.
it
Ridiculous.
is
All
not.
right.
It is
Okay.
not.
Okay. Until next week, the season finale. Bye bye.